And John is sitting down with our 10 News political expert, Dr. Ed Lynch. He's here to break down how the balance of power could shake out after tonight.
Well, thank you, Rachel. And Dr. Lynch, thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks for inviting me.
On Election Day and Election Night. And if the polls are to be believed and everybody is, in fact, voting because of inflation, that would typically mean a good day for the Republicans. What do you think are the chances that the House shifts? Is that a slam dunk for the Republicans, you think?
Yes, I do think that the House flipping is more or less a foregone conclusion. The Republicans only need 5 seats to flip the House of Representatives. Most estimates are they're going to get considerably more than that, maybe as many as 30.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what everybody is thinking. Now, we're looking at some of the Senate candidates on your screen right now. You look at the Senate, that's not as obvious. There's a lot of races that are too close to call.
That's right. There are 29 Republicans who are not up. There are another 20 that are either safe seats or pretty safe. That leaves the Republicans with 49. They need 2 more. The 3 closest races are likely to be Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Nevada. Republicans take 2 out of the 3. They have the majority.
And you think that'll happen?
I do think that will happen. Nevada looks pretty good for the Republicans, although it's tightened up in the last couple of days. And in Georgia and in Pennsylvania, it looks like the challengers, Oz and Walker, have been coming on strong. We may go to a runoff in Georgia, but my gut feeling is that that one's going to come out for the Republican without a runoff.
Yeah, in Georgia, it has to be at least 50% of the vote,
right.
or they have the runoff. So we have this big red wave, then it looks like it's coming. How much of that is or isn't because of Donald Trump?
I think Donald Trump is one factor, but I frankly think Joe Biden is a much, much bigger factor in what's likely to be happening tonight. As you pointed out, most of your viewers are concerned about inflation. Most people around the country are concerned about what I like to call the big 3 issues: inflation, immigration, and crime. And they favor Republicans, rightly or wrongly, but they favor Republicans on all 3 of those issues.
Democrats have been pushing hard for abortion to creep up on that list, but it really hasn't gotten traction like the way the Democrats had hoped.
I think that has been a disappointment for them, and I think in a more normal sort of election year, it probably would have made a huge difference. But when people are hammered every time they go to the grocery store and upset every time they get gas, then some of those other social concerns tend to fade into the background.
Yeah. And now let's take a look very locally here. Roanoke City Council, a lot of people out there for the voters to choose from.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on which way that might go?
Well, the Republicans, if they were going to have any chance, and the national atmosphere gives them a better chance than they might have otherwise in a very, very democratic city, but they really have to take issues like crime and inflation and make them the central issues in the campaign here in Roanoke City. That's a really, really tough hill to climb. Law of averages, the Republicans might get 1, or David Bowers is an independent. So we might see the end of one-party rule in Roanoke City, but I kind of doubt it.
Some idea how the Senate is going to go as things start to come into time, because those close races, which could turn the Senate, feel to me like we may not know at midnight, we may not know at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
That's entirely possible. But, you know, one of the sort of sleeper races for the Republicans is New Hampshire, the New Hampshire Senate race. Right. New Hampshire closes fairly early, and they tend to report pretty quickly, although they've had massive turnout in New Hampshire. So if the Republicans take the New Hampshire seat, we'll know that the Republicans are almost certainly going to take over the Senate.
Yeah, that's not one of the ones that everybody is watching. That's just something that is in play.
That's right.
Fair enough.
That's right. It's sort of in the hunt, as they say in the sports world. But again, if the Republicans take that, which they weren't expected to get until very recently, then the ones where they had a better chance are likely to go their way as well.
Okay. Dr. Ed Lynch, thank you so much. And Dr. Lynch will be here throughout the evening. 10 News working for you to track all of these races. To stay up to date on the results as they come in, head to WSLS.com or download the 10 News app. And when we're not on the air, you'll find updates online or through any of our many, many digital services. In fact, you can also get results sent straight to your phone, again, through the 10 News mobile app.